So I recently picked up an Alita AL40 and I'm going to use that to run my entire fish room. So basically how this is going to work, there's PVC elbows and T's. I'll kind of show you how I'm going to assemble them, but basically you just run a length of this around your whole fish room. You can see I put the first one up already, so elbows on each side. There's a couple right there and then another elbow, so I'll run it that length across that wall and then back over and connect it over here, and I'll show you guys what that looks like more as I go. So I got all the PVC up. So basically it's just, the only thing it is basically is just elbows on every corner and then couplers to join them together, and they're 10 feet long. So I only needed 4 couplers really to run the whole thing. You can tell this one I barely needed any extra at all. And then the only other thing you need is a T. This is where the pump will come in. I didn't unfortunately get like the shelf pieces to hang up my pump because you want it basically as close to that as you can get. So I got to get that piece still. And then we got to wait for the little tabs to come in, and then we should be all set. So we'll see what this looks like once it gets all done. Stay tuned.
After I got the shelf built, I got the air pump hooked up. It took me almost 5 couplers to get it set up, but then all I did is once the tabs came in, I drilled some holes to make sure I had the right size. The original hole I drilled, it was almost too easy to slide the air adapter in, so I drilled a slightly smaller hole, and you can see that one fit nearly perfectly. And then I basically just drilled a whole bunch of holes around the room and plugged in the adapters where I needed them, and then ran airline tubing to all of the mat filters and sponge filters.
So you can see I kind of have taps everywhere. I don't have a tap here. We're actually going to add one here. And then I don't have a bunch of them over here, but all of those are taps. So there's 5 there, 5 there. There's 1 over here. That's for my brine shrimp. And eventually I'll add them to that tank, and then I'll tap to add to this tank as well on this side. So that's the huge plus side, is if you get another sponge, like I kind of have a new sponge sitting somewhere over here, right here in this tank, that I'm going to add. I'll just basically screw in another hole, plug it in, and be good to go. So I'm gonna get this installed. So let's say you want to add another line so that I can run 2 brine shrimp hatcheries at the same time, or I want to hook up, you know, a new sponge here. It's pretty simple. Literally, I just take another drill bit, I'll drill a hole right above there, run an air line down, and just hook it up. I always just make sure it's the same size, so I'll pre-drill one and make sure that it fits, which this one does. So I'll pre-drill into, like, you know, scrap PVC before I do it, because if you drilled one that was too big, you'd let out all your air and all of your filters would turn off. So it's important to make sure you don't mess that up. So I'll drill one real quick and show you guys what that looks like. So then once you get it dialed in, you pretty much can just have as much air as you want in any of your tanks. So it's a super positive because I can basically just keep adding water and air to any of these tanks. Eventually I'll drill one so I can run 2 brine shrimp hatcheries at the same time for if I have a lot of fry. Right now I don't really have that much fry going on, so it's not anything I have to worry about right now. But long term, that's probably what I'll end up doing, and I can't wait to try and get it all going. So the problem I was running into with this rack for the air is that I just couldn't get enough air to run all of them. I could get all the sponges and mat and filters to run for the most part. Sometimes they were a little finicky, but for the most part they would run. But the problem was, like this tank right here, I couldn't get it clear because I couldn't run the air fast enough to pick up the fine particles in the water. So now that we got all the air going nice and strong, that tank is super clear now. The fish seem super happy. All of the mat and filters are running at good strength, which is good, even when the water level isn't all the way to the top, which makes it a lot easier for me because I don't have to top them off like every day like I was before. So that's super happy and made my life a lot easier. I hope this is helpful. I hope some of you guys will set up your own air system in your fish rooms, or you're looking to set one up and you're curious how the air system works. Super easy, pretty cheap for the most part. The most expensive part is that pump. I bought mine used for 50 bucks, so probably the whole setup probably cost me $75, $80, I would guess. The PVC is like $6 a piece. I had to buy 8 of them, I think, $48, so probably $100 total with the setup. The taps that go into them, I bought 24 of them for 10 bucks, I think, so not super expensive there. And then just airline tubing. I use any airline tubing I have. I'm a big fan of the aquarium co-op airline tubing, so if I can get that, I will definitely get more of it. But for right now, I'm just using whatever I have left until I get more aquarium co-op tubing. So I hope this is helpful. I hope you guys set up your own air in your fish rooms. I'd love to see some fish rooms set up with this system. So if you do set one up, let me see it. I'd love to talk to you. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.